You're listening to Cancer Convos with Brady and Stacy.
Hey there, welcome to Cancer Convos with Brady and Stacy, sponsored by Chelsea Smith Cosmetics and Bismarck Cancer Center. I'm Bob Brady.
I'm Stacy Sturm.
How's it going?
Better this week. Yeah, better this week. I'm still tired, but I'm not constantly tired. Does that make sense?
It does.
I've actually had bursts of energy this week where I can get a couple things done. So I actually did laundry and I cleaned my house and I went to brunch on Sunday. So I had bits of normalcy in the week, which is a breath of fresh air compared to last week.
Well, good for you. I've had none of that. So
so sorry.
What happens? I'm just tired all the time.
Yeah.
I think it could be with being in Phoenix, Arizona, the heat, it's hot. I don't want to go out anywhere. I'm sitting in my air conditioning and it's comfortable. And I'm coughing more too with this damn thyroid cancer.
Tumor in your lungs?
Oh, it's just so bad. Not one. I have two. Thank you. I'll take two.
You're gonna do it. Do it right.
Yeah, if you're doing, we're gonna take.
Quit fucking around. Just
one of my friends last week said, "Well, they can't just take one of the lungs out." No, they can't. They could, but one of the doctors said it years ago. We could just replace the lung. No, I'll be fine. I'll just do what I have to. Anyway, we'll talk later. A special guest today, live from the Mayo Clinic.
Yeah, so we have a friend of mine, Becky Matthews, who was diagnosed shortly after I was with her cancer. And I've been wanting to have her on here forever, but she has been the traveling fool between doctors and kids and things going on. And I wanted her to get settled back in before we had her back on because she's going to tell us a little bit about her story. So we'll just introduce Becky right now. So how are you today, Becky? Today, at this moment. Yeah.
At this moment, I'm holding the good and bad all at one time. And that's kind of how I live every day is the good and bad happens all at one time. So that's how today was. I had 3 appointments today, and now I'm at an Airbnb by myself for a couple days and dealing with going back to the doctors next week and more treatment. So that's where I'm at today, is just holding on to both all the time.
So tell us what kind of cancer you have, when you were diagnosed, and how you found out, because I wanted to explain it to Bob, but I don't even think I could.
You don't have the words. No. Okay. So, let's start out in the spring of 2021. I had some vision changes while I was driving, really freaked me out, went to the ER and they counted it up as migraines, even put me in the hospital because there's some other things they wanted to check out. Was all clear other than migraines. Noticed some enlarged lymph nodes in my thoracic area, but thought, hey, you just had the COVID booster. We're seeing this. We'll recheck in 6 months. In that 6 month time, I lined up a counselor, started getting every 2-week massages. Thought I was losing my mind, but I was working about 20 hours a week in early intervention, working with kids with disabilities and delays as a parent mentor, helping parents through that. And I also had gotten elected as our county commissioner, as a Burleigh County commissioner in Bismarck. So I just thought, I'm burned out. Maybe this is too much to handle. Kind of put it all on myself that it was just too much for me. 6 months in October, I always go get my mammogram and see my primary care doctor on the same day. It's like the day of the doctor. Yeah. And so I got my mammogram that morning, and that afternoon I went to my doctor and had already had all my blood work, and he's telling me everything looks good. My blood work is normal. I'm thinking, am I anemic? Am I what? I'm sitting there and I'm like, but Dr. Field, I don't feel good. I'm tired all the time. I'm not keeping up. I can't keep up. I don't know what's going on. And he just kind of accounted it to stress too. Well, bing pops up in my portal that night that the breast tissue looks great, which I was greatly relieved about because my mom and 3 of her sisters have breast cancer. So I was for sure I was getting breast cancer. I just knew I was going to get breast cancer, but it was my lymph node in my left armpit that was huge. So the CT scan that we planned to check the lymph nodes with Dr. Field from the previous ER visit 6 months before quickly changed to a biopsy. And by the next week in November, it was November 11th, I was diagnosed with mantle cell lymphoma, which is a very, very rare form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, usually in 60-year-old men. So I didn't beat the patriarchy. I just became one of them.
Yes.
At this point in time is not curable. It can go into long periods of remission. So this beginning of December, I started hardcore chemo. Like when a nurse says to you when she hangs a bag, that's the most drug I've ever seen anyone get of this.
Wow.
The next nurse, you guys know when you get chemo, there's two nurses, the one and then the other one to verify they're not giving you the wrong poison.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Up and she goes, I've never seen someone get this much. I'm like,
Wow.
and then the street names, then I get the Red Devil.
The Red Devil. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone I don't know the name. It's just called the Red Devil.
No, it's funny because people will ask, they're like, oh, what chemos were you on? I'm like, I don't know. It's like the Taxol, I think.
The Terrabeam is the one that they've never seen somebody have so much of in their life.
Yeah.
The Red Devil. And then the rest I didn't know.
Yeah.
So that makes you pee red. Glad they warned me about that because that would have scared me going to the bathroom.
Yeah. Right.
So I had 3 rounds and 3 rounds that were different. And my inpatient ones I was really scared about. But the one that I got inpatient the first time was called Shake and Bake. Because the first time you get it, you can have a really bad reaction that makes you shake. And I blacked out and had a major reaction and like anaphylactic shock.
Wow.
And unfortunately, my husband had COVID and my 2 older sons were with me and probably are traumatized to this day. Traumatized to this day.
Yeah.
So I had my 6 rounds of chemo was considered in remission, but still because it's so hard to kill because those little MFers like to go hide out. I had stem cell transplant. So what that means is they take my stem cells from me. Then they give me 6 days of chemo inpatient and give me my stem cells back. And so I was down at Mayo for 6 weeks. I was down at Mayo for 6 weeks and last summer from right after Memorial Day, like Tuesday after Memorial Day until mid-July. I think I wasn't home yet at this point last year. Mouth sores, sicker than shit. And then you have to get all your childhood vaccines back because it kills your bone marrow.
Yeah.
If you don't get your stem cells back, you would die because those cells have to graft. So
you're like starting over. You're like a whole new person.
They actually call it your rebirth day. And to get a little off topic, it was the same day we lost twins 15 years before. So my stillbirth day and my rebirth day were the same day. And I lined that up. They were supposed to be 2 days off. And I'm like, no, the universe is lining this up to be the same day. So when I say I hold good and bad, it very much is this holding. A lot of my cancer journey has been holding. There's never a day that's all bad. There's never a day that's all good. Yeah. It's always a mix of life and death, good and bad. I think we like to think of, yay, everything's going good, or you're just laying in bed in tears. I have those moments, but it's never, there's always bits of gratefulness and bits of sorrow and life and death. So stem cell actually went really well. You're supposed to take up to a year to recover from that. I never got that year because by my 100-day appointment after stem cell, when I came down, my uterus lit up and I'm like, cut that sucker out. I don't need it anymore. And they don't cut lymphomas out because it spreads. So I had radiation, 18 rounds of radiation. And then they're like, we can scan you again. I'm like, no, I'm waiting for my regular 6-month scan. I'm done stressing about scans. I'm going to live. And then my scan that they did in March showed some lighting up in my stomach. Called for an endoscopy because that's what I asked for after I got a referral from my PCP, and they couldn't get me until August. And I had some words with the receptionist. And then I found another lump under my neck and called my oncology nurse and finally got me in. Oh, in the midst of this time, I'm every 8 weeks having rituximab. What was shake and bake? Now my body's totally used to it, but every 8 weeks for maintenance to keep the beast away.
Right.
When they did the endoscopy, they found a growth in my stomach 5 centimeters by 6 centimeters. And in the PET scan, then I did have a bigger growth just 3 weeks ago, like the Monday before the 4th of July, not the 3rd, but the week before, into June. And some in my ileum, just all over, not all over. But now we just don't have mantle cell, which is like normal, Becky, like kind of intense, unique, rare. Now I have the blastoid variant, which is aggressive, won't back down, isn't in your face. So the blastoid variant makes this really difficult to treat. So right now I'm on some inhibitors, and when they say they're going to take my T cells for CAR T therapy, which is the next thing I'm going to do, and they can freeze them for a year, my guess is they don't think these inhibitors are going to work more than a year. They wouldn't waste their time and money collecting my T cells. So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
CAR T cell is like, I'm going from Becky to badass Becky, and then CAR T cell therapies, they take your T cells and they genetically modify them to attack your cancer. So now I'm going to turn into Robo Becky.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're like Robo badass Becky.
I'm just, I just keep morphing.
Other than all of that, what else is going on?
You mean that I'm a Burleigh County commissioner and I have 5 kids?
Yes.
At least 3 are adults.
I mean, you're a walking biology experiment. I mean, it's just like
so we have a mutual friend named Kim.
Yeah.
And she goes, you just can't do anything normal. You have to be so dramatic.
I mean, it goes. So you're talking about all these things you're doing with you, and I've said this on this show every week. The doctors are practicing medicine. It's a practice.
Practicing. Yeah.
So like you're like we all are. Like we're all like voodoo dolls. Like let's try this. Let's try this. Let's see what this does. And all the while, you're like you say, you're having good days, bad days, just hoping that something comes out right.
Yeah. I feel like every time I go to the doctor, I walk out or I say at some point of the appointment, well, that's new. Like today, they couldn't get, I was expecting to go in for a simple port flush. It takes 5 minutes. You go in, they come at you with the claw, they latch onto you like a sucker. They flush it, done. No, so today they're like, I don't know why this isn't working. Can you get up and do some aerobics exercises?
No.
I said, I'm kind of confused by this. That didn't work. So they literally tipped me upside down with my feet in the air. And then I had to do this. I'm like, am I on camera? I feel like I'm on camera. I feel like this is
this practical jokers?
Yeah.
Is somebody messing with me? And it's my first time I've actually like had to go into the infusion unit at my new place. And so I don't know any of the nurses. It's packed full of people. Like, I don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden I'm doing aerobics and then they have me tipped back with my legs up in the air. And I'm like, we need to be careful about this because I didn't wear underwear today. And she goes, oh, wow. Okay. So let's revise the plan.
Let's do plan B.
I was coming in for a port flush. It was
it's cancer cannon camera.
Well, this is new.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. I've got nothing to say today.
Bob, I forgot to tell you because I forget this often. The day I started conditioning chemo for my stem cell transplant, like to kill my body, they found out that I had thyroid cancer.
Oh,
that's right.
I forget that little piece of news
because
it's not what's going to kill me.
No.
It's so far down on my list.
So that's what I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2014, and now they took the thyroid out, took out 38 lymph nodes, and now that cancer moved down to my lungs, and there's 2 tumors in there.
It found a spot. We always say if it can find a spot, it's gonna find a spot.
But it will. It will. It will find its way through.
So
Now,
how do you
actually, though, the last 2 PET scans, they can't find the thyroid cancer. I feel like I'm playing whack-a-mole with cancer. Kill it. It's gone. Pop them over here.
But no, when you were, let's get a little bit more serious. When you were first diagnosed, what were your thoughts and how did you tell your family? Because I find that to be one of the hardest things when you, and Bob and I have talked about this before, when you're first diagnosed, you would think about you, but you don't. You think about your family and your friends and all the people that are also going to be affected by this.
All I remember is I sat at my office at home, which, to be honest, I haven't sat at since that day almost. I can't sit anymore. I sat there and made phone calls and texted all day. I don't really remember many of them. The hardest is I didn't really have a conversation with my 2 kids at college how we were going to share bad news. Like, my parents are in their 70s. Like, at some point, we're going to have to make phone calls that are difficult, you know?
Yeah.
But we never had that conversation. My son was coming home with friends that day, and I'm always the house that had 2 billion people in it. And I had to tell him he couldn't bring his friends. And he's like, Mom, what are you talking about? We're not even going to be around. And I finally said, you need to call me.
Yeah.
That's how I had to tell him. That's not how I planned to tell him on the phone.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to get his sister to come home with him because they go to college in the same town. And she's like, well, I got to work tonight. I'm like, no, you just need to get in the damn car. Just get in the damn car.
Yeah.
No, finally, I just had to tell her, this is why I want you to get in the car. So then when you let the 2 older ones know and the 3rd older one doesn't know, you better just let him know because they're going to quickly start talking. And then my husband got home. I had to call him at work and let him know and said, I need you to come home. I texted some friends. I called calling my parents.
I can imagine. Yeah.
My kids and my parents have been, every time I've had different news is the worst. Here's the best. We told our 2 younger kids, they were 6th and 7th graders at that point. And I said to them, do you need me to call any of your friends, you know, to explain it to them so you don't have to go into depth with your friends, you know. My very introverted 7th grader at the time said, no, I'm fine. And then he finally said, are we done talking? Can I just go?
Can I go play video games?
Sure, go.
I got shit to do, Mom.
Oh no. Within about 45 minutes, my oldest son is calling. What did Daniel do? He went on Snapchat and said, if I don't answer your responses in a while, my mom just got cancer.
Just got cancer.
Just got cancer. Like I caught it like a cold. And so, of course, all his older brother and sister's friends are friends with him on Snapchat. Like that's his main group is his brothers and sisters' friends, his friends. That's it. Like that's all he has in his world. And their phones are blowing up. Yeah. I'm like, oh, this was not ready for public consumption yet.
Right.
Like quite yet. You know, I was going to get through the weekend and then, but so be careful who you tell and how you tell, but and then to tell them now that it's back and really being, I mean, we've been very honest that there's no crystal ball for treatment or remission, but to know that a more aggressive variant is here has been really hard. Yeah. Really hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to wrap our heads around. Counseling has been involved in and out. I mean, for all of us, because this is something they can't come talk to me about how scared they're going to lose their mom because the last thing they want to do is upset mom.
Yeah.
Recently at Target walking around, my daughter goes, you're tired. We need to leave now. And a 13-year-old who's shopping to, you know, their life has drastically changed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought I was being smart by like downplaying it when I got diagnosed. And I told my kids, I'm like, hey, you know, they caught it early enough for us to treat it. The doctor said it's just a bump in the road. It's going to be fine because he did. I mean, that's not a lie. And then after everything was done and I beat it and I'm in remission, my daughter goes, so can we talk about now? Can we finally have the conversation now that you're okay? Because you realize only 15% of people actually survive ovarian cancer long term. I'm like, nope, we're not having that conversation. We're just not having that right now. I'm like, how much have you Googled? She goes, oh, I've Googled all the statistics, Mom.
Yeah.
I Googled everything there is to know about ovarian cancer, all your chemos. I've Googled everything there is to know about your 5-year, your 10-year, your life expectancy, all of that. I'm like, I didn't even Google that. But kids are smart and they will, they'll find out. They'll find it on their own.
Was the hardest for me is that my husband didn't even really Google, and I was very, words matter to me, so I was very on my social media having conversations when people are like, you're going to beat this, and I'm like, no, I'm buying remission. Remission. I was very, very careful of how I phrased things. The 10-year survival rate with just mantle cell is 10%. Now I have the aggressive variant. So I don't even know if they have statistics for that yet. If they do, I forgot about them.
You're like, I just,
you have selective memory.
Yeah,
I
just don't want to know.
I don't want to know that. But yeah, I words for a while. When I first went into what I thought was remission, I said, I'm living with cancer. I changed that to living in remission. Well, now I'm really living with cancer. And the prime word there is living. I'm not dead from cancer. Cancer is going to kill me. I don't pretend. I mean, unless I go walk outside and get hit by a bus, which, people can have that happen too. I love when people are scared to talk about death. I look at them, I'm like, you think that's something you're going to cheat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I have to look at it a little bit more that I might not be here for my kids' graduations. I might not be here for my kids' weddings. I might not see my first grandchild. I mean, I don't know. But you think you have that guarantee? No one's guaranteed that.
Yep.
We have to live, but so for me, I'm just like, I just have to live every day. And yes, is there a part of sorrow that I have to deal with? Those might not be my days. Sure. But I live my life fully as I can, and I will. I mean, I said to my doctor already about when does palliative care become part of something. She goes, patients never bring up palliative care. I said, palliative care isn't it's trying to live your best life. It isn't that you're done fighting or you're done. I mean, there's a point where I might be tired enough and have enough symptoms that I want palliative care. It doesn't mean I'm not living. It means I'm living my best life I can.
Well, I know when I was diagnosed, they immediately gave me a brochure on palliative care. And I said, I thought you said we were going to treat this and we're going to cure. Right. And they said, yes, but it's not like, this isn't hospice. We're not telling you you're dying right now. They're like, DoorDash. If you're not feeling good, they can bring you food. They can bring you your medicines. They can do it. They can bring the checkup to you instead of you going to the checkup. And you're right. So many people don't want to say that because in their minds, it's death. Yeah. You're preparing to die. And that's not true at all. Yeah.
No. And I think sometimes when I speak so bluntly about kind of where I'm at, people think I'm like looking for, like planning for death. Well, aren't we all kind of, or shouldn't we be? But it's not like I'm throwing in the towel. It's just, there's certain things I want in place and certain conversations I want to have. And I'm not living in denial that those things are going to happen for me.
You're being realistic about it and not in a dream world. Like,
they have Mayo. They asked me, what can our care team do? And I said, toxic positivity pisses me off. It sends me.
Oh. You're gonna be great. Everything's gonna be fine. This is the best. No, it's not.
Yeah. Yep.
Have you seen my medical bills? It's not fine.
Will be great.
No, it's not.
Have you seen my medical bills?
Have you seen my bills?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And just the exhaustion I live with, and finding out today during a neurology exam that I have some detoured feeling in my feet and refluxes from the heavy duty chemo I had. If I hadn't seen the neurologist, I have some balance issues. I mean, even if my cancer hadn't come back, there are lifelong consequences to having chemo. I don't care if you are considered cancer-free. Anyone who's had a cancer diagnosis and treatment has lifelong consequences because some kind of poison or radiation or something that you're not supposed to have near your body is needed to kill that cancer.
Oh yeah, we talk about that all the time.
Right.
Bob and I do. It's
Yeah.
people don't understand when the cancer goes away, you're not done. Like it
No.
is. I for a good portion of my cancer treatment was able to work out and do some minor dancing and stuff. And the last year, my balance has been so terrible. I can't. I fall out of turns. I can complete Zumba, but now here's the thing. Like I can do a Zumba, but when you've been a dance teacher and professional dancer for 25, 30 years, you don't want to fucking Zumba. I don't want to fucking Zumba. I don't want to do basic ballet up and down. I want to dance, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
But or I want to think of words. We talk about introductions.
Oh.
I can't think of words, and it's not getting better.
No.
It's not going away. None of it is. I thought it would. Cancer's gone. Chemo's done. Well, for the most part, I still take a daily chemo pill, but
Yeah.
I thought it would be better, and it's not. It's not the same.
No, and the point is, it never will be.
No.
I mean, even if certain things come back, there's certain things that your body has changed, and mentally. I mean, you cannot. It's kind of like when we lost the twins. Never was I the same from that grief, and never am I going to be. Even if I was in remission right now, having this conversation from stem cell, that trauma and that. We're hearing the word cancer is the life-altering moment, not all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And so, I think we like to measure or say, oh, well, I only had this kind of cancer. I have that kind of cancer. I do have to say sometimes when people are like, I had to have radiation and it was so awful. And I'm like, oh, there's moments in my pity party. I'm like, just shut the hell up. But in reality, as a human being, I'm like, the cancer diagnosis was the change.
Yep.
And that fear of every time you go into the doctor that you're going to hear it's back or you have a different kind.
Or it's worse, or it's not,
right.
It's just all that what if, and that's what you hear. I always said this too. Like I've gotten radiation treatments, and I had radioactive iodine. I have been through chemo, but when the doctor and the nurses walk in hazmat suits and hand you your radioactive iodine pill, and I'm not in anything, I'm just myself. Like, what is?
You're supposed to swallow that.
Yeah, wait a minute. And then when they say swallow it and then run out the door and get to your car and go home. Well, what the hell's going on? Like, why is it, like you said, like it's a whole life-changing alternative because they don't touch it. They're not getting radioactive anything.
Yeah, your perception changes. Like, so when I got the blastoid variant, I was most excited because I thought it was like a sister cancer to what I had before, and that would have meant all this chemo again. When I got the blastoid variant and I found out I could just take oral pills and then CAR T, I was so excited. So I could continue my work as commissioner, and that I could go to my son's soccer games this spring when he has soccer season. Like my perception of what's bad and good is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Mine is that I can live life and do the things I want to do. And already, even though I'm still fighting and I have several options in front of me, I already make health decisions based on what is the toll on my health, what is the toll on my family, what is the toll on my mental health, and what's the return. I'm already making decisions around that with my team, with my husband, because it's very important to me. My quality of life, it rates very high up there of anything.
Yeah.
And it's your life. So you make the decisions for you.
Yeah. Yes. And okay. So Stacy and I have had this conversation because when I was bald. Like I went everywhere as a bald woman. I thought I'd wear hats, but chemo made me go into menopause. So I was a sweaty hot mess.
Okay.
And it was COVID. So I had a mask on and something on my head. I couldn't handle it. And Stacy decided that she became Moira Rose and had 2 billion wigs. And people are like, well, you guys don't do it the same. Yeah, we did it exactly the same. We did it our way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The right way to do cancer is how you decide to do it. There's no right rules or wrong rules. It's the way you decide that you are given all your choices and you can make informed decisions about if you want to do hair or not. I did stenciled eyebrows. If you want to have a port or not have a port. I mean, all those things are for you to make informed decisions with your medical team, your, support system, and you, and really you.
Yep.
And that's it. I mean, Stacey, you and I have talked about it several times that that's how you live in triumph over cancer, is by taking over some control in your own life.
And if you want to switch boats in midstream, switch. Okay, now I want to wear wigs. Now I want to be bald.
Yeah.
It's your life. That's what I think. It's not just cancer, but it's everything. Like, let me live my life the way I want to live my life. Leave me alone.
I think when we lost the twins, a lot of people are like, you're going to do that because we lost them at 20 weeks along in the pregnancy. We did an obituary. We did a lot of things. And people are like, yeah, but they weren't born. They weren't full term. And I said, no, I do this the way I need to do grief, not how someone should on me.
Yeah.
I do it how I need to grieve. And people will say, well, what should I do for someone else with cancer? What should I do with someone else in grieving? Well, that's very unique to every single person. I guess the biggest thing is just don't leave them high and dry.
Yeah. Give them support when you can.
Like, hey, thinking about you. Hey, do you want the meal Tuesday or Thursday?
Right. Yep. Not, or can I bring you anything? Yeah.
Yeah. Or, hey, I know you have a dog. I was taking my dogs to go wash them. Can I pick yours up on the way? I have a 100-pound golden retriever. Someone picking up the dog to wash was a huge gift to us when when I was sick. So, it's those things that were very unique to us.
Unfortunately, I think it's just human nature that when people think or know somebody has whatever disease it is, cancer or anything, they don't know what to do. It's just they don't know, because
they don't know what to say. They don't necessarily want to talk about it because they don't. Yeah.
Because Becky, you could be here today and then all of a sudden, well, where's Becky? Like, it's one of those things that they don't, it's so hard.
Okay. So there is an author,
you were going to get your quotes, Becky.
I know, but she wrote a book. Oh, you're going to have to cut this out, when I do some editing on it. Yeah. Everything Happens for a Reason is the book. Everything Happens for a Reason, and Other Lies I Believed. So she got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer when she was very young, had a toddler. And now she does podcasts and everything, but it really talks about kind of that toxic positivity and things. And I've really found that helpful for me, because she still talks from a place of faith and grace, but also struggle and hurt and pain. Yeah. And so for me, it brings me healing, that those are all allowed in the human condition, and being okay with all of them. So sometimes I find those really good authors and writers, and I knew this show was out there. And then when my cancer, I found out it was back, I actually went and listened to them, because I just needed, I didn't want anything sugar-coated. I wanted people really talking about cancer.
Yeah, because most of the people will put on a brave front and they'll give you the planned answers that they give to everybody. And it doesn't really help anybody. I mean, it really doesn't. It doesn't even help the person that's lying about how they're doing, because some days Bob and I have had this talk too. I texted him the other day. I'm like, I feel like dog shit. I feel like dog shit. Yeah. And I'm like, and I need to be able to tell people that sometimes. I feel like once you're back to normal life, people expect you're just going to assimilate into normal life like you did before cancer and everything's fine. And it's not. And I hate sometimes saying to Mike, if we're on a bike ride, that's all I can do. And I feel like it's giving up, but it's not. I just beat cancer. And I don't want to play the card, but I can't do a 10-mile bike ride with you. Right. I can do 5, I can do 6, but I can't do this 10 miles. And I want to be back to normal, but I'm not back to normal, and I don't feel good, and I am freaking tired, and I can't concentrate, and I do have bad days, and it just sucks that it happened. But that's not when people say, how are you? You're like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I often said, I'm here today. I showed up.
I woke up on this side of the dirt. That's what I say. Yeah. I'm on this side of the dirt today.
That was like an old man always said that I'm above ground. Like, okay,
Right.
great. That's good to hear. You know,
Yeah.
your old North
it is-
Dakota friend.
Well, I went horseback riding Saturday morning, and I knew. I mean, luckily my dad and my daughter were with, because right now I couldn't get my horse ready by myself. I mean, it totally proved to me that I couldn't. I last year went out by myself. I could not right now. Even this trip traveling by myself for my healthcare and doing some other stuff, it's really hard by myself to figure out everything on my own, cognitively, physically, everything. And a lot of times now I have a travel buddy. I was thinking one of my soccer boys that's from Africa was going to take me to Africa in March, and I don't think that's going to be possible for me to get the shots
Yeah.
to go there. And that's really, really hard for me.
Yeah.
But we're making I'm going to tell him we have a new bucket list. He lives in Phoenix, that we're going to go. And I've never been to the Grand Canyon, and to Joshua Tree, and to San Diego. And then he's going to drive me back, because I can't do that trip by myself. And then I also told a good friend that loves to hike, and we've done stuff, that I want to visit every state park in North Dakota, like if they have a place to stay there, or so I have 4 knocked off just because I've already been there. But things that I still can do, that I feel accomplished at. I got an award from, I'm a Democrat, from the Democrat MPL. I'm the one of the few in North Dakota. But legacy and leadership. And I thought, what legacy? I'm 49 years old, and I've lived, I'm 49. There's a lot more gray-haired people here. But this might be, I might have reached the pinnacle of being elected, and I might not, I don't think I'll be running for re-election. I don't know. I don't have the energy I did to work up at the legislature on a bill that was really important to me a couple of sessions ago. My legacy might be, I'll continue my legacy of how I live, but those big things might have already been done. And it was nice to be healthy and alive and there with my family to accept that. And I get to go, I was a hidden hometown hero this year, and it sounds like, but I was a stay-at-home mom for 14 years, and I did a lot in the community without getting paid. And I lived my life before Cancer Out Loud, from my loss to my kids with delays. And I never got paid in cash for any of that. And so some of this recognition now means I lived a life well lived. I mean, I've really lived a life to be proud of. And I hate that is going to be shorter than I ever had planned. But I didn't waste any time. I did what was important every day. If that was being at home changing diapers, that's what I did. If it was meeting friends for coffee, that's what I did, was sharing that sometimes motherhood was really hard, and I had kids that had struggles. I shared that with other moms. I shared what it was like to lose children. I sat with people in the hospital that knew they were going to lose their babies at times. Like, I have lived a full life, and I think I continue to show that through my cancer. And I'm proud of the life I have and lived, and who I am. So I hate that I have to have cancer, but I think I do it with grace. And I think a lot of people agree. And it sucks, but also I get to set a really cool example of just talking about how hard it is, but also the moments of beauty and in hell, the beauty living through hell sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, and those that don't agree, screw them. We don't care about those people.
Forget them.
Yes, exactly.
I'll turn Robo Becky on them. Okay, Stacy, I posted on Facebook about packing toilet paper with me, and everyone was like so sad. That was meant to be funny.
And it's true. Those are one of the things, like
that was funny. Like,
I have the same issue even a year, and it's because my daily chemo pill.
Yeah, but I have no GI problems. The issue is I have enough discomfort in my life.
Yeah.
If a roll of toilet paper means I don't have another discomfort in my life, I'm packing the roll.
And honestly, it's a fart joke. Fart jokes are funny. Fart jokes, poop jokes.
Fart jokes are hilarious.
We should be able to celebrate talking about pooping.
Yes. If I want to poop, I've pooped in Mandan by a trash can.
Okay,
Many
no,
years ago.
you gotta hear that. So when they do stem cell and like my T cell collection, I'm hooked up to this big machine. So they bring the commode to your bed.
Oh
I
God.
start at 7 a.m.
Oh yeah.
I had 4 days in a row for stem cell. I only have one for T cell. But let me tell you, I wake up at 5 a.m. I have my coffee. I walk and I make sure I poop before I go. Because if I was in my own room, maybe the commode. But no, I'm not. I have a curtain between me and the next patient.
Oh yeah, you don't be pooping.
I can pee in that commode. I cannot.
No, I'm with you 100%. No way.
I have a poop plan. Poop plan. The poop plan.
If for anything that has ever come out of this, Becky, you had a poop plan.
You had a poop plan.
The second time I was
part of your
inpatient,
legacy. Yeah.
Second time I was in the inpatient, I had severe constipation after the first time. My 2 chemos did 2 separate things.
Mm-hmm.
The second time, the nurse came in and I said, I'm going to tell you my poop plan today. You're the first patient that told me you had poop plan.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Oh, I do that too, man. Before I go in for my procedures, I make sure I poop because I know that the anesthesia is going to get me constipated and I'm not going to poop for like a week. So the day before the procedure is nothing but dedicated to making sure I poop and that my pooping is good and done for the next couple days.
Before my scans, because I know that they can see that in there. They're going to go,
oh my God, one time they noticed that in the report. She was a little compacted. And I'm like, seriously, what does this have to do with cancer?
Let me clean. I don't need anybody in the back talking about me, about my poop. I don't need it.
Backed up.
Yeah. Holy shit.
These people know way too much information about me.
Yes. You know they share it at home. You know there's no HIPAA rules at home. They go tell their kids. There was some lady that, oh my God, she had poop for weeks.
Nothing but poop. A whole like from her stomach, like all the way. It was backed up. All the way through.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pooping's important.
Yeah.
Pooping's important to everybody, but especially to cancer patients. If you've learned nothing from Cancer Convos, it's okay.
No, I decided
have a poop plan.
The only other time I talked so much about poop was before a race with runners because it's really important.
Yes.
Poop routines, like they're really concerned about pooping before the race, or they have to poop at mile 4 or whatever. And so I decided that was the first time I ever talked about poop so much. But then cancer patients is the next, and then probably anyone over 70. Like it's it's kind of tiered.
The diaper.
Yeah, but over 70, they can wear diapers. We can't do that yet.
Yeah.
We're like giving up.
I had some on hand just in case, because I had to come from an Airbnb to the hospital every day after stem cell.
Yeah. Oh.
I didn't trust myself in that vehicle every day.
Yeah.
That was a long trip.
That circle of life, like you have diapers when you're born, you have diapers when you die. Like it just never stops. It's a circle of life.
I always joked when my kids were little and said, "Come wipe my butt now." I used to have daydreams about me being old and yelling to them, "Come wipe my butt now."
You come wipe my butt now. Exactly.
God.
Yeah. Touche.
Oh, we went squirrel.
We did, but you know what is funny? I feel like if they've learned anything from this, they're like, yeah, I'm there. I get that. This part of the show, this segment of the show, we've probably done.
Go back here, Stacy or Bob, about poop.
Yeah. It's okay to talk about poop now. If you learn nothing else, it's okay to worry about poop, to concentrate on poop, and to talk about poop.
There's a book out. Everybody poops.
Everybody poops. We read it to toddlers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Becky, we thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Beck.
I think it really shows that you can cry and laugh all within about 10 minutes of each other. And that is what's normal in life, is that whole range of emotions.
Yep.
That's what we got.
Well, good luck with everything. I mean, you're gonna do it. You're a fighter. I mean, my goodness. If anything, at least you can come back and get a legislature to beat all those old white-haired men. That'd be great.
Well, I
Yeah,
changed my hair to white.
we need
but-
you. We need you around North Dakota to keep fighting the patriarchy.
Oh my God. Remember the legislative
Oh.
barbecue we did years ago, Stacy? Remember that? We had, oh my Lord.
Yeah, so they
We'll
were
talk-
over session because they'd taken vacations and they'd messed around on bills, these ridiculous bills for way too long. And half of them, I think, weren't even showing up. So
But they were still,
and they took the day off,
yes,
and
they
had a
still got per
barbecue,
diem. Yes, they had a
which
barbecue.
is why we did a barbecue in honor of the legislatures, because they were already over their time.
Yeah.
And they decided they were going to just take the day off and have a
party.
barbecue to boost morale, because they've had to work for 3 consecutive months. I know it's exhausting to have to work on the fate of your state for 3 consecutive months.
Jobs.
You know,
We
you
got a
get to
full-time
sign your
job.
name up to be elected or not. You don't
Yeah.
have to be.
You didn't have
Yeah.
to do it. Yeah, you chose it, and you're actually
think
getting
I
paid
know.
to do it.
Yeah.
I
think
get phone calls about cattle in people's yards.
Yeah.
I know.
I think I said that. They didn't come knock on the door. Hey, you want to be a legislator? Oh, I don't know.
Although in some of those small towns like Strasburg or something, that
About
might,
all you
they
got,
might have,
yeah.
yeah, they might have just knocked on the door and been like, "Hey, Bill, you're the only one that still has any kind of cognitive function. Will you
Okay.
represent the town?"
I just got done pooping. Oh, come on, to be funny.
They have great bathrooms up at the Capitol. They have
Okay.
marble in them.
All right. Thanks to the Chelsea Smith Cosmetics Bismarck Cancer Center. That's Cancer Convos for this week. Becky, thank you so much, and God bless, and keep fighting.